So, welcome to Jumbo Wires and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time within 30 minutes so that you get to cover your current affairs on a daily basis and in a short span of time. Because covering current affairs in a short span of time frees up your entire day to study other parts of your UPSC syllabus. Therefore, we have come out with this lecture series. Now, just watching this lecture series would be job half done because just after watching this lecture series, you need to revise it. Because revision helps in consolidating current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes shall be shared on our Telegram channel. Now, where can you find our Telegram channel? Well, just below this video, in the comment section, you'll find a link. Click on that link. That link will take you to our Telegram channel from where you can download the notes for this lecture. Okay, so let's begin today's session. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. Okay, so topic number 1 is QS World Future Skills Index. Now, this is an international index which ranks countries on the basis of their preparedness to future jobs. Okay, and India was ranked 25 out of 81 countries. There was some good news for India, there was some bad news for India. So we'll talk about this index. Then, recently, ISRO conducted an ambitious mission of space docking. And after successful implementation of space docking, ISRO became the fourth nation in the world to have the ability of doing space docking. Okay. Now, it is said that the space weather or solar radiations helped ISRO in achieving this mission. Otherwise, ISRO would have failed. So, what is space weather? What is space docking? We'll talk about this. Then, many of Olive Ridley turtles, dead Olive Ridley turtles, were washed ashore the coast of Tamil Nadu. Now, this brings to the point the question of threat to Olive Ridley turtles, a vulnerable species. So, who are Olive Ridley turtles? What is their significance? And how are they threatened? We'll talk about this. Then we'll talk about Kuka Martyrs Day. The thing is that recently Punjab Chief Minister actually honored the sacrifices made by various people during the Kuka movement. Okay, these people were executed by the British on January 17th, and that is why Punjab's Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann is actually marking this day to basically honor their sacrifices. So, who were Kukas? Who were Namdharis? What is this Kuka Martyrs Day? We'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about why Sriharikota is chosen as Indian spaceport. You see, all the rockets launched for satellites in India are launched from Sriharikota or Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. So why was Sriharikota chosen to be India's spaceport? Why are all the rockets in India launched from this place? So we'll talk about this. Okay, so these are the 5 topics that we'll focus our attention on. So let's begin today's session starting with topic number 1, which is QS World Future Skills Index. So look, QS World Future Skill Index came out with its report and it basically surveyed 81 countries. Out of those 81 countries, India secured an overall rank of 25. But this index had many indicators. On some indicators, India performed very well. And on some indicators, India did not perform that well. That is why its average rank was 25. Now, this index uses specific indicators to evaluate how well countries are equipped to meet the evolving demands of the international job market. Look, the future of job market is going to be very different because the future employers would require new age job skills, right? Because jobs are going through a fundamental change, right? So the future employers are going to require new job skills from the employees, right? These job skills might be AI, green economy, and many other things, right? Now, this index basically measures how ready a particular country is to meet the challenges posed by these new age job skills. How ready is a country to become or to get these jobs? Okay, now India secured 25th rank. Now, QS stands for Quacquaroli Simons. It is among the leading data analysis and solutions provider for Global Higher Education Center. And Quacquaroli Simons, QS basically, came out with this World Future Skills Index, basically judging countries on their preparedness for future jobs. Okay. Now, this Quacquaroli Simon World Future Skills Index had 4 indicators. Okay. One was skills fit, the other was academic readiness, the other was future of work, the other was economic transformation. India's overall rank is fifth. But in some indicators like future of work, India secured a second rank. India was just behind USA in this. In economic transformation, India performed poorly, 40th rank. In academic readiness, India performed again fairly. And same is in skills fit. Okay, so these are the four indicators through which QS is judging whether a country is prepared for these new age job skills. Okay, now let's talk a bit further about India's performance. So India has been ranked second in terms of preparedness for jobs of future, including AI and green skills. But in terms of economic transformation, as we saw in the table, India was ranked 40th. And in desired skills for future jobs, India was 37th. Okay, now this index basically ranked 81 countries, right? The top 10 countries are known as future skills pioneers, which includes US, UK, and many other countries. The rest of the countries, up till 40th rank, are called future skills contenders. So India belongs to future skills contender category. Okay. So let's talk about these four indicators a little bit more. Okay. What are these four indicators on the basis of which QS is judging a country? So these are the four indicators: skills fit, future of work, academic readiness, economic transformation. So skills fit measures how well countries are equipping graduates with skills that employers desire. Okay, so how good is your education system to equip students with future skills? Okay, in this India ranked not that good. Okay, 30th. Then future of work. This evaluates a country's readiness to recruit the skills needed in the jobs of tomorrow. India ranked second in this, and this is very good news. Okay, in fact, QS congratulated India for this. Then comes academic readiness. This dimension measures how well a country is prepared for the future of work and how well a country's education system is coping up with the new age skills. India ranked 26th. And economic transformation. This assesses a country's readiness to support the growth and future of work and skills by examining various indicators. So, this basically checks whether India's economy is going to transform in a way that it supports new age skills like AI. Now, in this, India fared really badly. India secured a 40th rank. But overall, India's rank was 25th, which is overall good news. QS congratulated India, and Prime Minister Modi also tweeted this. Okay, so this is all you need to know about QS, World Future Skills Index. Okay, now let's shift focus to second topic of the day, which is space weather and space docking. Okay, so recently ISRO launched a mission called SpaceX. Okay, SpaceX is space docking experiment. Now, what is space docking? When two small objects are joined together in space. Okay, this is known as space docking. So, under this space docking experiment, ISRO tried to join two satellites. Okay, this was the experiment. ISRO wanted to show that it can perform space docking, and space docking is joining of smaller components to make a large component in space. And this is a very complicated thing to do because you have to control the velocity of each and every object. You have to take a look at their path. You have to control their path, their velocity, and whatnot. It is a very complicated thing, and only after India, only four countries have achieved or have demonstrated that they can do so. India became the fourth country. Space docking is very complicated, and that is why the success of this mission was quite crucial for ISRO. Okay. In fact, do you know that there is this thing called International Space Station? And International Space Station is huge. But International Space Station was formed by first launching small components into the space and then joining them in space. Okay, so space docking was required for making International Space Station. Now, India wants to create its own space station. So it had to first basically know the skill of space docking. And this is what this experiment proved. Okay, now the thing is, this mission was about to fail. Okay, it was destined to fail because space weather was not conducive for this mission. But space weather became unusually calm when ISRO was conducting this experiment, and because of that, ISRO was able to make this failure a success and successfully conduct this experiment. Okay, so space weather basically aided ISRO in completing this mission. So the question is, what is space weather? Okay, so what is space weather? Look, our sun continuously releases highly charged particles from its outermost layer called solar corona. These highly charged particles, highly electrically charged particles, highly magnetically charged particles at very high speeds, these particles are known as solar wind. Now, this solar wind, the sun spits out this solar wind at such high speeds that these solar winds or these particles can reach till the end of the solar system also. Okay, so this solar wind definitely reaches the earth. Okay, now when this solar wind reaches the earth, it could harm all of us, it could destroy all of us, but our atmosphere protects us from these solar winds. But our atmosphere cannot protect outer space objects like satellites or space stations, right? They are continuously vulnerable to solar wind. Plus, solar wind's frequency and intensity varies, and this varies on the basis of an 11-year solar cycle. So sometimes these solar winds blow very strongly, sometimes these solar winds blow mildly. Now, the intensity and frequency of these solar storms or solar winds depends upon solar cycle. Now, this solar cycle is that of 11 years. Okay, what happens is that in the beginning of solar cycle, there is a solar minima, when solar winds are not that frequent and intense. Then after some time, it reaches solar maxima. At this time, solar winds are quite frequent and quite intense. And then again, it reaches solar minima, okay, when the solar winds are gentle, okay, and this cycle then repeats itself. The entire duration of this cycle is 11 years. Okay, now, do you know there is this thing called sunspots? Okay, what are sunspots? When you look at the sun, you can see some black spots on the sun. When you look closely to the sun, if you zoom in, there are some black spots surrounded by bright light. Okay, these black spots are called sunspots. Now, during solar maxima, the number of sunspots increase. And when the number of sunspots increase, that is an indication that solar winds are going to be very strong. When the number of these sunspots decrease, well, that means solar winds are not going to be that big of a problem. So during solar minima, sunspot activity is low. During solar maxima, sunspot activity is high. Now, the thing is that the current solar cycle of 11 years began in 2019. And we are currently in the phase of solar maxima. That means solar winds were blowing very strongly during this time. And during this time, ISRO launched Space DEX mission or Space Docking mission, right? Now, ISRO scientists knew that because of these harsh solar winds, we won't be able to dock these two satellites, or it is going to be very challenging because we are currently in solar maxima. But what happened was, it is solar maxima. But when ISRO launched these two satellites to get docked in the space, sun became unusually quiet. Solar winds became unusually quiet, okay, during that time. And ISRO could seamlessly dock these two satellites and conduct its successful experiment. It is as if the sun went quiet for ISRO to complete its mission. And then sun again started spewing solar winds. Okay, so it was somewhat of a heavenly blessing. Okay, sun blessed ISRO's experiment. That is what has happened. Okay, now all of this is known as space weather. So space weather is how frequent and how strongly solar winds are blowing. Clear? Look, why are solar winds so dangerous? As far as Earth's atmosphere is concerned, our atmosphere protects us from solar winds. But that is not the case with satellites and spacecrafts because they are outside Earth's atmosphere. These high energy particles can blind sensors, interfere with electronic control systems, and that is why it is very difficult to dock satellites during this time. But the days leading up to SpaceX docking were surprisingly different as far as solar activity is concerned. Thus, we can safely say Sun certainly cooperated with ISRO for completing this mission. Clear? So this is the thing. All right. Okay. Now let's move forward to our third news item, which is threat to Olive Ridley turtles. So why Olive Ridley turtles were in the news? So over the past 2 weeks, numerous dead Olive Ridley turtles have washed ashore in Tamil Nadu, particularly in Chennai. Now the thing is that Olive Ridley turtles are sea turtles. In fact, they are one of the smallest sea turtles found in sea. During their breeding season, they come to the beaches, they come to the shore, and the females lay their eggs. Okay. Now, east coast of India witnesses a lot of these Olive Ridley turtles coming to these beaches and laying their eggs. Okay. Now, olive ridley turtles arrive near Tamil Nadu coast around September, October to breed. Their nesting season begins in late November and ends in March. So, nesting season means laying of eggs. Okay. So, from September to March, their entire cycle of staying or breeding and laying eggs, their entire cycle of that takes place on the coastline of India's east coast. It includes Tamil Nadu, includes Odisha, it includes Andhra Pradesh. Now, during this nesting season or breeding season, we do see some deaths among olive ridley turtles. But this time, the number of olive ridley turtle dead bodies lying on Tamil Nadu's beaches is quite high. Okay, so what is the reason behind so many deaths of olive ridley turtles? Before that, first let's know about what are these olive ridley turtles. So these are the smallest and most abundant of all sea turtles. They get their name due to their unique olive green shell. Okay, this olive green shell. Okay, they are known for their mass nesting, unique mass nesting. What is mass nesting? The males and females breed along the coastline, and then females travel to the beaches to lay down their eggs en masse. I mean, almost all the female sea turtles come here to lay their eggs. This mass nesting site is known as Arabada. Okay. Now, these olive ridley turtles are generally found in the warm waters of Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean. Okay, warm waters, that is tropical waters. And Odisha's Gahirmatha Marine Sanctuary is known as the world's largest rookery of sea turtles. Largest rookery means breeding site of sea turtles. Largest, why? Because of the number of males and females that gather in this marine sanctuary to breed. Clear? Now, why did they die in such huge numbers? The thing is that during breeding season, most of these sea turtles come near to the coastline. Okay? And near the coastline, there are many fishing boats that roam around, as fishermen are out there near the coastline to catch fishes. Now, most of these turtles get caught in the fishing nets, okay, and they die. So, generally, it is because of the fishermen, activities of fishermen and fishing nets, that these olive ridley turtles die during the breeding season, because it is only during the breeding season that they come close to the coastline where fishermen are already there. Now, the reason why the number of deaths this year was quite high was because it was a good fishing season. The number of fishery stocks in India's eastern coastline was quite high, and that basically incentivized more and more fishermen to venture into the waters to catch fishes. Okay, this made the number of fishermen in India's eastern coastline increase, and the number of fishing nets in that area also increase. That is why most of these olive ridley turtles got caught in these fishing nets. As far as the conservation status of olive ridley turtles is concerned, their IUCN status is vulnerable. Wildlife Protection Act status is Schedule 1, and sites are found in Appendix 1. Okay, that is the most protected appendix. Clear? Okay. Now let's move forward to our fourth news item of the day, which is Kuka Martyrs Day. Now, why was this in the news? Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann on January 17th afternoon paid tribute at a function organized at the Namdhari Shaheed Smarak in Malerkotla to mark the Kuka Martyrs Day. January 17th is celebrated as Kuka Martyrs Day. Why? You see, it is a misconception that violent revolts in India stopped after the Great Revolt of 1857. It did not. There were many rebellions, violent rebellions, even after 1857, but all these rebellions were so localized that the Britishers were able to suppress them one by one. One such localized violent rebellion was the Kuka Rebellion. Okay? The Kuka Rebellion led by Kukas or Namdharis. Okay? Their rebellion continued till 1872. Okay? But in 1872, most of them were caught, and 66 Namdhari Sikhs were executed by the British. Okay? Most of them were put in front of cannons and blown to pieces. So this day, January 17th, is celebrated as Kuka Martyrs Day in Punjab. Alright? Now, Kuka Rebellion was a post-1857 rebellion in Punjab, like I've mentioned before. Rebellions, armed rebellions or violent rebellions after 1857 were localized and thus were easy for the British to suppress. Kuka Rebellion is just one of them. Now, the thing is, Kukas or Namdharis, who are these people and who led them? Let's talk about that. So, who are Namdharis? So, Namdharis were a Sikh sect. So, this is basically a sect within Sikhism. Okay, this sect was founded by Sadguru Ram Singh in Ludhiana on April 12th, 1857. Now, Namdharis were also called Kukas because Kuka means shouting, speaking, screaming basically. Kuka means screaming. And these people are called Kukas. Why? Because they recited Gurbani or the holy book of Sikhism in very high pitched voices as if they were screaming, right? That is why they were called Kukas, because they recited the verses of the holy book of Sikhism in very high pitched voices. And Kuka in Punjabi means screaming. That is why they were called Kukas, but their official name is Namdhari. Now, they carried out a rebellion in Punjab which saw instances of violence between Namdharis and British officials or Indians who work for British officials. This culminated into the events of January 1872, January 17th, 1872, where many Namdharis were executed. Now, this movement was founded by Sadhguru Ram Singh. So, who was Sadhguru Ram Singh? So, Ram Singh challenged the status quo in Punjab and preached against various social evils, okay, like consumption of alcohol and meat. He also launched what can be called a predecessor to Swadeshi and non-cooperation movement. Okay, Swadeshi movement was launched in 1905. Non-cooperation movement was launched in 1920-21. Right, but he somehow was performing these movements way back. He called his supporters to boycott foreign goods, British services, and educational institutions, among other things. Now, this movement continued till January 17th, 1872. But during January 1872, many of Namdharis were caught, including Sadhguru Ram Singh and other chiefs, and they were exiled to Rangoon jail, which is in Burma right now. Okay, from where they never returned. But Namdharis believe that Ram Singh is still alive and will return one day. Until then, they mourn his absence by wearing white. So Namdhari Sikhs are those Sikhs you'll see who wear white clothes. Okay, white clothes, white turban, that's their attire. Okay, and the reason for that is that they mourn the death of their beloved leader and they believe that he's still alive. They're not mourning his death, but they are mourning his absence. Okay, he's still alive and he will one day return. Currently, there are 2 lakh Namdharis in Punjab. All right. And the last news item is why Sriharikota is chosen as India's spaceport. So, all the rockets that ISRO launches, these rockets are launched from an island off the coast of Andhra Pradesh called Sriharikota. The spaceport is known as Satish Dhawan Space Center. Okay, which is on this island in Sriharikota. Okay. Now, recently, Union Cabinet approved the setting up of a third launch pad. So, in this Satish Dhawan Space Center, there are 2 launch pads. So, ISRO can launch 2 rockets simultaneously. Now, they have basically established a third launch pad, which will be used for the heaviest rocket ISRO will build in future. That heaviest rocket is Next Generation Launch Vehicle, NGLV. It is under construction, but when it will be released, it will be this new spaceport, this new launch center would be used to launch this heavy rocket. NGLV will be the heaviest rocket ISRO has produced so far. Currently, the heaviest rocket is LVM or GSLV Mark III. Alright? Okay. Now, the thing is, why is Sriharikota used as a spaceport? Why don't we use other areas in India to launch rockets? What is so special about Sriharikota? So the thing is that the hunt for choosing an ideal location for launching India's future satellites was spearheaded by Vikram Sarabhai and his fellow scientist E.V. Chitnis. So Vikram Sarabhai started roaming around in India to search for an ideal location to launch rockets from. This was during the 1960s, and in early 1970s he found Sriharikota, from where rockets would be launched. Okay. Now Sriharikota was chosen for 2 reasons. First of all, it lies on the east coast of India. Okay, it lies on the east coast of India. The thing is that when rockets are launched, they are sent in an eastward direction. Why? Because the earth moves from west to east. So when you launch a rocket in an eastward direction, the motion of the earth is opposite to the motion of your satellite. Okay, so basically the relative distance traveled by this rocket would be higher. Okay, plus it gets the advantage of moving opposite to the earth's motion. That is why rockets are flown in the eastward direction, because earth moves from west to east. Okay, plus thing is that this site is closer to the equator than any other site in North India. It is closer to the equator. And why is it important to be closer to the equator? Because it is said that the speed of Earth's rotation is faster on the equator as compared to poles. So if you launch a rocket from the equator, the Earth will move past that rocket faster as compared to if you had launched a rocket away from equator and closer to the poles. That is why most of the launch sites all over the world are closer to the equator. Even NASA launches its rockets from Houston, Texas, the southernmost state in USA. Okay, so this is the reason. It is close to the equator. It is on the east coast. Why is it important to launch a rocket on the east coast? Because the thing is that had the launch site been on the western coast, you know that rockets will always go on the eastward direction. So if a rocket will fly from the western coast in the eastward direction, well, it will fly over a lot of land. Problem is that when a rocket launches, it leaves behind many of its components. Okay, these components would drop on the land, creating a very dangerous hazard. That is why we have chosen east coast, because when the rocket would be launched, it will mostly fly over the sea, and when it will drop things, these things would drop on seas. Okay, this is the reason. Now more about SDSC. So SDSC is the country's only spaceport. So we only have one rocket station. Clear? It became operational on 1971 with the flight of Rohini 125, a small sounding rocket, and was initially called SHAR. So this site was called Sriharikota range. Okay, but its name got changed in 2002. Okay, to honor former ISRO chairman called Satish Dhawan. So it was called Sriharikota Range SHAR, but in 2002 its name was changed to Satish Dhawan Space Center to honor a former mathematician and ISRO chairman. Clear? That is all. That's all you need to know. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And please do not forget to revise this lecture. Revision is very important. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.